The common narrative around AI and creativity actually focus on whether machines will replace human artists or replace jobs. But what we're witnessing right now is not replacement, but augmentation. AI is becoming a generative partner.
Dr. Annette Doms, CEO and Director of the Future Business at ICAA Strategists and Vice President at Venture AI Germany.
As a tech evangelist, so my mission is not to hype technology, but to build bridges of understanding and to make technology tangible through art, but also maybe through books. My work is about helping people not only to become consumers of the future, but co-creators of it. It's really about how we build, how we deploy and govern AI on the ground. We need to be radically honest about what AI can do and what it can't. Art and technologies, to me, have always spoken the same language, the language of what could be. We are now entering the third wave of digital transformation, where value creation can be programmed. It's as real, as revolutionary as the shift to the internet.
Welcome to Dinis Guarda YouTube podcast show, once again in partnership with businessabc.net, citiesabc.com, and wisdomia.ai. We keep portraying and featuring global personalities, and I've been privileged to have in this series some of the most influential personalities of technology and business in the world. And one of the things I try to do is always look at the people that are bringing a lot of the basis of innovation, and how can we foster with that innovation new solutions for our present and our future, and as well how we can actually contribute to better research and better solutions for our society. I think we are in a situation where I think everything related with AI, blockchain and Web3 are becoming more important than ever, but as well more challenging. We have in one end the AI divide, the digital divide, but there's a lot of opportunities as well. And today I'm particularly excited to welcome to our series someone that is making, I would say, bridges between all these different areas. So I welcome to our series Dr. Annette Doms, a Tech Evangelist, entrepreneur, future business expert, and in-company trainer, and Web3, I would say, global thought leader, academic, and public speaker. Dr. Annette Doms has been the CEO and Director of the Future Business at ICAA Strategists GmbH, a consulting firm that helps businesses transform using technologies like Web3, AI, and blockchain. In this role, Dr. Annette guides innovative future topics in digital change, and that's contributed to white papers and strategies for companies like Deutsche Telekom, PwC, and Union Investment Bank, just to mention a few. Dr. Annette is also the Vice President at Venture AI Germany, an organization with a mission to establish Germany as a global pioneer for responsible and safe AI transformation. In some others of our features, Dr. Annette is a partner also at NFTB, where she contributes to the development of blockchain and NFT-based solutions. And their work includes part of the digital strategy and social media development and blockchain integration, including wallet connection features. And as a co-founder, she was as well the co-founder of X Circle, an art gallery specialized in blockchain technology. And the work included building an NFT marketplace with wallet integration and the creation and sales of NFTs across multiple blockchains, platforms such as Solana, Ethereum, and Polygon. Moreover, part of our work and passion is about educational initiatives on blockchain and Web3 strategies for digital art. In terms of, as well, some of her work as a co-founder, we can add as well that she is the co-founder and artistic director of Unpainted, the Germany's first digital art fair, which showcased the relationship between digital art and emerging technologies. And the fair has featured over 50 exhibitions and included performances, concerts, and panel discussions. She's as well a leading global personality as a LinkedIn top voice, and has been contribution exclusive, but as well opening in the fields of emerging technologies, especially in the areas of blockchain, artificial intelligence, and metaverse. So the list continues. I will just pause here, but we're going to have other areas. So welcome to our series, Dr. Annette. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, it's really a fantastic honor and pleasure. And I'm particularly excited because I think you have such panoply of different areas, from creative industries to very big industry players, but as well with the bridge with interdisciplinarity, which is, I think, a big, I would say, challenge when it comes to all the things we're talking here. So I would like to start with the basics. And of course, you have a huge background in education and as well in a lot of different areas. So your career spans art history, blockchain, AI, and digital transformation. So what inspired you to bridge these worlds of technology, business, and creativity, and especially a bit of your background in education?
Yeah, so what a lovely question to start. Yeah, because it really speaks to the heart of something that guided me for decades. You know, art and technologies to me have always spoken the same language, the language of what could be. And people, yes, often ask, so what has art to do with AI, with blockchain, and with future business? And, you know, I always smile and say everything. From cave paintings to NFTs, artists have always been early adapters to new tools, to new technologies that really help us to see things differently and to understand technologies. So at the end, they don't just react to change, so they prefigure it. And that's the point. And they really sense the tremors of change long before we even notice the ground shifting. And this fascinates me a lot. And so to me, museums do not merely archive the past. So the truth is they are really hubs of innovation. Yeah. So artists that are collected there always disrupted the status quo. And they always created works that have been new, radical, also misunderstood until the time caught up with their vision. And so maybe to give you a tangible example. So for example, in the last century, when the computers emerged, so pioneers like Frida Nake, for example, immediately went to universities to collaborate and to write algorithms that they printed out as plotter drawings that are, by the way, very high in value today. Or when the internet came, so also artists immediately understood that code can also be canvas. And one of my favorite net art pieces, for example, was created in 1993, made by Guarda. It's an artist group. And it displays seemingly boring green on black ASCII codes on the user interface, but indeed it reveals the layout of a water bomb hidden in the source code. Yeah, and this artwork is really genius. It's still online, and it's both. It's artwork and it's warning, so reminding us that technology always carries out shadows and lights. Yeah, and today we see the same pioneering spirit in artists exploring new mediums like blockchain, AI, or the metaverse. And these are not just digital experiments, these are really cultural shifts. And so to come back to your question, so for me, my work was always about connecting the dots. Yeah, so not just between disciplinaries, but across time. And supporting ultra-contemporary artists or advising on tech integration or mediating business leaders. So it's all part of the same mission to make the future legible before it becomes obvious. So this means bridging technology and business and creativity, as you can imagine, was not a strategic decision. So it was maybe the response of a bigger plan or to a deeper calling. So to stand at the edge where ideas become reality. And I love to help others to cross these bridges. And so in many ways, my career has simply been about making the natural connection between technology, business, and creativity more visible through art. Yeah, that's the point.
No, I love it. And it's really very important what you just touched, because I think we have a big division between STEM and humanities. And especially at the moment, there's a big challenge where with the AI and creative industries. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And I think what you just said is a key element, because in the end of the day, a lot of the biggest changes in history has been the relationship between how you put creativity or imagination, technology, and of course, bring it to society and business. So you founded the first digital art fair in Germany, which was quite a big initiative. And you've been working with NFTs and a lot of different innovative Web3 and metaverse. And as well, in one hand, you've been leading strong AI transformation initiatives in terms of your journey with big corporations. So how do you define your mission today, especially in putting that bridge, like you said, connecting the dots as a tech evangelist and as well a future business expert?
Yeah, so my mission truly crystallized when I recognized a recurring paradox in the heart of innovation, and this is the hen and egg dilemma. So new technologies need users to thrive, but most users only adapt technology when or once they are already proven. And this is really a big problem. And this hesitation creates a threshold that many groundbreaking ideas never cross. Yeah. And so in both, so in the art world as well and as in business, I've seen this play out time and again. Yeah. So art collectors hesitate to invest in new, unfamiliar art. Yeah. And new expressions of art and like NFTs or AI generated art, not due to the lack of interest, but because they need this institutional validation. Yeah. And likewise, businesses so delay adopting transformative tech like blockchain or the metaverse, also AI, and until competitors make the first move. Yeah. And very often it's too late to capture the real advantage we can have with all these technologies. And what fascinates me is that how similar these psychological patterns are across domains. Yeah. So whether it's the CEO evaluating AI or a curator considering digital art, so it's always the same. So risk aversion and the human need for reinsurance. Yeah. So this is really pretty exciting. And as a tech evangelist, so my mission is not to hype technology, but to build bridges of understanding and to make technology tangible through art, but also maybe through books. So I wrote this beginner's book. This is about learning about Web3 in 30 minutes. So it's really on the base and very easy explained. And so I help people to see emerging technologies not as a threat, but as an opportunity to shape the future. And so this is why we work with frameworks that cultivate what I call pioneer intelligence. Yeah. So the ability to perceive value before consensus forms. And I'm sure you know this quote by Andy Warhol. So he once said, making money is art and good business is the best art. Yeah. And this quote really resonates deeply with me because the creative mindset that drives art is the same force that fuels in innovation. And so my work is about helping people not only to become consumers of the future, but co-creators of it. And this is very important to me. And as you have seen and described at the beginning, so I'm generalist. Yeah. So my core topic is around the new internet and Web3 with its core technologies that I always say that act as pillars. So blockchain, the layer of trust, and metaverse, the layer of experience, and AI, the layer of intelligence. And so to me, these are all efficiency technologies. Yeah, these are an extension to our real world and opportunities to complete new business models for the future. And so my mission is to educate and also to develop and to deploy new business models together with our clients. So yeah, this is my heart, my passion. Yeah,
it's inspiring. I love the way you put this assembling together. It's actually quite unique because I think for other people that I interview here, you're the first one, even people that are more creative, that assembles this in a very, I would say, very balanced and harmonious way. It's a key element. And I think more important than ever, we need to bring that. So you have, of course, a fantastic education as a doctor of philosophy in art history with a minor studies in psychology. That, of course, shaped a lot of your passion. And as well, philosophy is more important than ever in technology. And this is like the Ludwig Maximilians Universität in Munich. So how did this background, I'm talking more on the academic side, because of course the PhD, and as well, most of the studies around AI are going the direction of psychology, and how psychology and especially philosophy affects technology and especially AI and blockchain. So from the work extensively that you did in blockchain projects that cross over, like you mentioned, business and art, how do you see the role of blockchain and Web3 evolving? Especially, of course, there's the cryptocurrencies, but behind the cryptocurrencies, you mentioned you've been working a lot with NFTs, but as well, you're very proactive in sectors like education, finance, and culture. So how do you see this kind of conversions, but as well with your background, both academic and business ads?
Yeah, so you name it. Thank you for this question. When we talk about blockchain, so many initially think about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Yeah. And this is like reducing the entire internet to just email. And Bitcoin indeed was the first blockchain to be developed, and it was created as a peer-to-peer payment system. But the true revolution lies in blockchain's ability to decentralize trust. Yeah, this is the most important part. And this is possible through programmable smart contracts. And maybe to repeat it, a smart contract is a digital agreement that is automatically executed when certain conditions are met. Yeah. And suddenly, so we don't need banks or lawyers or notaries to verify agreements. Yeah. And so that's not just efficiency. This is really empowerment. And let's take NFTs as an example. Yeah. That caused a massive hype in 2021 when people suddenly spent millions of dollars for these cartoon apes. Yeah. So-called bored apes. But behind this hype, yeah, lies really a revolutionary concept. So the combination of a digital file that can be anything, yeah, audio, video, an image, and this combination with smart contracts to create a unique file. Yeah, so an NFT represents a unique asset and unique file, and makes it so a digital file plus a smart contract is becoming a non-fungible token. Yeah, so a non-changeable token, so that really creates verifiable digital ownership. And it's like a signature on a digital file, like a signature on a Picasso painting. Yeah, so verifying authenticity. And this unlocks entirely new possibilities for digital ownership in a world where digital assets were easy to copy and therefore practically worthless, right? And so that principle is already transforming education. Yeah. So if you imagine diplomas and certifications stored immutable on a blockchain, yeah, there is no more bureaucracy or no more forgery, and students can really own their assets in their personal wallet. And in finance, blockchain enables self-executed contracts or loans, or decentralized insurance, and at least also access. Yeah, so access to capital for those traditionally excluded. Yeah, this is what we love on blockchain. And in culture, we have completely new economic values. Yeah, so I'm sure you know this X to earn model. Yeah, so we know. And in culture, so what excites me is that we are really redefining ownership in the digital age. And so for the first time, we can really own bits and bytes like books and houses, and that is not tech upgrade only. So this is a civilization shift.
I love what you said, and I think you put it very well, because as well as an author and as an academic and as a business person, you combine this. But one of the questions, and I have a sub question around this one of the challenges I've been finding, so I've been teaching as well, and I think I taught over 1,000 plus students. And one of the things that I've been realizing, and this is a super step question, but it's key, especially what you mentioned about this platform, like you mentioned Philippines and the capacity for the students. So from your experience, because one of the challenges I've been facing, and this actually one of the things I'm doing in this channel is the process of digital transformation. And I know that is something very dear to you, but as well, there's a massive divorce, especially in Europe, but as well as all over the world, between these tools versus what you just mentioned and education. And I've been finding that a lot of universities are not pushing some of these things. And there's as well, like we mentioned before, a huge AI divide and digital divide. So from this particular part, first, you mentioned all these platforms and you have your book, which is available, and there's a lot of publications. You have a very dynamic presence. What do you think we can do to bring these Web3 tools, like you said, ID to this young, especially young generation and education organizations? Because I feel the problem is not just the young people, it's actually the teachers and the universities.
Yeah, so I'm working on this field. So I guess with blockchain, it's still too complicated. Yeah, so a user experience is the key. So also in the metaverse. So if things are getting easier, so mass adoption is closer than we think. And education is the key. Yeah. So, and yeah, at the end, so in schools or education in general is really not moving very fast. So it's the same like centuries. And the thing is that I don't think that the new generation is not open to it. So they are maybe more in these topics than their teachers. Yeah. So boys are playing Fortnite since decades meanwhile, and they are used also to use social media and technologies. They adapt technology immediately, but the education system is a little bit behind. And so this is a real gap. But yeah, so it must be open to change. And of course, it's a lot of responsible work to change, especially when it comes to education content. But so it must be done very well. So these institutions and organizations have to work really with experts. And first of all, to enable easy user experience and access. So the infrastructure must work. And yeah, so, but there's a big gap. Yeah, because in how students actually learn and in how they will work in the future. Yeah, and we really have to work in that. And I see this divide definitely. But you must be curious for yourself. Yeah, so this is basic need, because many people still have this fear against technology. And you cannot read it in press. Yeah, so press is
No.
This is the problem.
Yeah, that is the key element, and that I think your work is fascinating because you are bringing this in a very practical way. So, in your consulting work at ICAA Strategists, how do you guide large companies? So we mentioned this in education, but you've been working with big companies that I mentioned before, like Deutsche Telekom, PwC. So how do you use your methodologies to embrace these emergent technologies without overwhelming, like you said, and as well allowing space for traditional business models, which, the other day, if you look at the world economy, well, the biggest corporations are all in these areas, but the rest of the world economy is not looking at that. So your work, and I know that German being the third biggest economy in the world, has a huge opportunity, but as well, there's a huge challenge both over there and international. I think that's the opportunity as well, but I would like to hear your views on this.
Yeah, this is really a critical question. And, so at the end, the big companies like Telecom and KPMG, Deloitte and PwC and so on, they have established impressive, innovative departments. So what I did for Telecom, I was invited as an expert in Metaverse to contribute to their white paper for ethic guidelines on the Metaverse. And this I did a lot also for Union Investment and banks and so on. But our work at ICAA is more focused on the Mittelstand, so the backbone of German's economy. And so these companies are world-class in their fields, but often more cautious when it comes to digital disruption. And what we are now entering, what I call the third wave of digital transformation. So, and this is the tokenized economy. Yeah. So where value creation can be programmed. We discussed this in the last question. And that sounds abstract for many companies at the beginning, but it's as real, as revolutionary as the shift to the internet. And so the most common mistake we encounter when we discuss with companies is that organizations start with projects that are too complex. Yeah. So think easy. And so our approach is pragmatic. So it's very simple, but strategically. So with 4 essential phases. So first of all, an evaluation. So identifying really high potential use cases in-house that could be developed with disruptive technologies. Then experimentation. Yeah. So really building prototypes or pilot projects that tests assumptions. And then you can start with execution. Yeah. So with proven concepts. So then you can integrate validated tools in actual workflows. And fourth, it's expansion. Yeah. So then you can scaling what's working with continuous feedback loop. So this is our approach. And this method really avoids, let's call it innovation theater. Yeah. So, and it forces genuine transformation, and it also creates space for cultural adaptation, which is as important as tech readiness. And so at the end of the day, the best tech projects won't those who erase tradition, but extend it. It's all about extension right now. And I would say great transformation respects what came before, while reimagining what's possible.
Yeah, you touched on this is really the most important thing, and it's extremely difficult, but it's extremely rewarding. But it's as well about mindset, and I love the way you put it, because that mindset is the key element. So one of your biggest position is as vice president of the Venture AI Germany, where you are helping to position Germany at the forefront of responsible AI. So I will use one of your quotes because I like that you put actually in one of your posts. AI will not replace us humans, but those who master it will secure competitive advantage. So when it comes to AI, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of, I would say, fear, FOMO, and as well panic, and as well ignorance. I think probably the worst is ignorance. So Germany being one of the biggest economies and is leading, of course, still in manufacturing, and is the engine of Europe. So, of course, and as well, Europe is much less entrepreneurial than US. And I just will use a quote, but I'm not going to mention the source. That is a friend of mine that is a very big tech and AI, actually one of the biggest AI personalities in the world, that he said, the US builds, constructs AI, Europe legalizes or creates regulation for it, and China sometimes and Asia copies it. So I think the point right now, as vice president of the Venture AI, so you're focused first of all in position Germany in the forefront of responsible AI. So I would like to hear a bit about that, this organization, how you see the VC in Germany and in Europe, and as well how you see this responsible AI mean into practice. Because in Europe right now, the challenge is that we have so much research, and we have a huge amount of academic research. We have two novels that came from Europe recently that actually were coming from AI. And I would like to hear your views, but as well this part of responsible AI, and as well about what is the Venture AI Germany.
So responsible AI is such a buzzword right now. So it's danger of becoming meaningless, isn't it? So, and to me, responsible AI is not about theoretically ethic debates. Yeah, so it's really about how we build, how we deploy and govern AI on the ground. So in real world context, and that starts really with transparency. So we need to be radically honest about what AI can do and what it can't. Yeah. So we're still talking about weak AI. We are not at that point that we have strong AI. So with human-like general intelligence, that's not the point. So these are mathematical systems or models shaped by human-made data. Yeah. And with all bias and limitations that was made by human-made data. And so there is no magic here. Yeah. So only systems that must be understood and not mythologized. And what we follow at AI Venture Germany is a strong focus on human-centric design. So this is, I guess, very important. Responsible AI doesn't aim to blind automation. So it supports and enhances human decision making, and especially across areas like lives, rights, or livelihoods, and when they are at stake. And so we must ensure humans stay accountable for the outcome. Yeah. So because at the end, technology is not the problem. So the technology is genius. Yeah. Also like blockchain. So it's about people, how they treat AI. And so humans are not always good. And especially if it comes to power and money. And so there's a lot of misuse and fake outside. And we have to deal with this. And so also that we don't lose reality. Yeah. So that we can really distinguish between what's real and what's not real, because AI seems or answers in a way, meanwhile, it's really good that, yeah, it's emotional and it's creating sentences and answers which with you really feel good. Yeah. It looks real, but we don't have to forget that there are still a lot of hallucinations and it's a black box. Yeah. And these are problems that we are dealing with it. And it's not about to offload responsibility to algorithms. So we really have to look at humans, so to stand accountable for the outcomes. And so we need regulation and we need rights around AI. And for example, blockchain could help. Yeah. So if we combine AI creations with blockchain, so we could have the source for these creations. And crucially, responsible AI is ongoing. Yeah. So AI systems don't stay static, and so they evolve, they drift, they encounter new inputs. And so one-time audits don't cut it. Yeah. So we need continuous monitoring and governments that adapts with the technology. This is very, very important. We are also working on this. And as you mentioned, Germany. So in Germany, we have this deep-rooted tradition of Technologiefolgenabschätzung. Yeah, so means the technology impact assessment. And that gives us a unique advantage because we're culturally wired to ask the right questions from the beginning, so very early. And what's exciting is that responsible AI isn't a drag of innovation, it's a driver of it. And systems that build with care, with context, with human value at the core turn to be the more robust and trusted and ultimately also more successful systems. And so the winners in the AI area won't be the fastest movers. I would say they will be the ones who move with the deepest integration of technology, humanity, and purpose.
Yeah, this is a key element. And I think you mentioned that responsible AI is becoming a jargon, but I think it's just between us. I think we are part. And I would say that there's still a huge work to be done, because you touched a very important element. You touched the importance of responsible AI and defining that, as well how this impacts the building, because in the end, the AI is built out of a collective intelligence, out of our human collective intelligence. And Europe, I think, has been doing fantastic work in putting frameworks on this, and Germany is fantastic. I think one of the things about Germany is that it's probably one of the most organized structure in terms of frameworking a lot of this innovation. But I think the question I would like, just as a sub-question on this, and as well before we go to the next question, is just on the case of German. So for instance, some of the data, and I prepared for the meeting, is I think there's around 687 startups in German, and worldwide there's 10,000 startups. And for instance, the United States dominates with 5,500, but I'm talking, these are of course major startups. Of course, if you go small SMEs and small startups, we have much bigger numbers. But I would like just if you could just highlight from the work you're doing in the organization, what are some numbers that you want to share with us, or some of the things? Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. So my question is, in terms of the work that you're doing with your Venture AI Germany, there are some numbers you can share and some initiatives you share that can actually, I think, be taken to the UK where I'm based or to Europe in general.
Yeah, so there are many startups in Germany and many tech companies coming to Germany, especially to the south, to Munich, where I live. But if you figure it out, so yesterday, for example, I was at an event, and it turns out that people in Germany spend more or invest more money in lottery than in startups. Yeah, so this is really this is reality. So in comparison to the US, yeah, so it's like this and this, and yeah, so there is too much bureaucracy, so there's too much administration still, yeah, and it's risk management, and this may be different in the UK. I don't know. So the openness really to invest in unfamiliar future topics, it's a little bit smaller than maybe in other countries. And in terms of regulation, yes, we have regulation, and it's good to have regulation, but it's also dangerous to overregulate. Yeah, so we need something in the middle, so that we do not avoid innovation. Yeah, so because this is the bad side or the side effect of investing in innovation as well. So overregulation.
Yeah, so then, and I think you touched a very important thing. I think we need in Europe in particular, there's so much innovation, especially in the academy and research. And I think is how we combine this together. There's a big opportunity. And that brings me to my next question. So you've been researching artificial intelligence and as well how to implement artificial intelligence, especially AI, responsibly at scale. So Germany has big players, but worldwide, for instance, I interview here in this series people from Siemens. And for instance, one thing I just want to use this quote that I think is something that inspired me a lot is that, for instance, in the case of Siemens, I interviewed two of the directors, and they said that AI empowered most of their employees, and they actually, even people that they were not, of course, so digital savvy, became a way and the tool to make them much more productive and actually create new revenue streams. So from your research and as well from your consultancy and as well academic and the industry related work and as well on the creative part of innovation, what are the biggest challenges that businesses face today when it comes to AI implementation at scale?
Yeah, so, the gap between AI's theoretically potential and practical implementation is or remains surprisingly wide. Yeah, so the first big challenge is really the data reality gap. So what we realize when we come to companies to advise in AI is that many companies approach AI with unrealistic expectations about their data assets. Yeah. So we have really a huge abundance of data in Germany. But yeah, so data must be structured. And many companies or also private people here heard about data is the new oil or AI is the new electricity. So there is a really high pressure to take part in all this. But then companies discover that their data is fragmented across systems or poorly structured or sometimes also simply insufficient for AI. And even large companies with an abundance of data often find their data isn't organized to support AI implementation. Yeah. So this is where we start. What we do is making data ready for AI implementation. And this, of course, needs time and it's also an invest. But then second, there is still this talent mismatch. So it's not just about hiring data scientists or prompt engineers. So what we see is that the most successful implementations come from interdisciplinary teams. Yeah, so the teams combining domain expertise with technical knowledge, but these hybrid professionals are still very, very scarce. And third is governance. So maybe the most important. So to many organizations treat AI like software or traditional software and with fixed requirements and linear deployment cycles. But, and you know this best, so AI is different. Yeah, it's probabilistic, it's iterative, It's context dependent. And so governments needs to be productive and dynamic and future orientated and focused on outcomes and risks and also continuous evaluation. And so in comparison to software, AI systems required different development approaches and testing methodologies and operational oversight. And so this is the biggest difference and maybe also the biggest challenge in implementing AI. And these challenges vary also with maturity. Yeah. So early stage companies often underestimate technical complexity, and legacy enterprises struggle to integrate AI systems in their existing processes or in culture as well. Yeah. And so the way forward, so my advice is first to invest in data infrastructure. So before algorithm, to cultivate interdisciplinary teams and talents, and to develop governments that is not just compliant, but strategic. And education is the key, as you said, and what Siemens did. So what we call AI-assisted employees or AI-assisted workers. So this is maybe the beginning of every company. Yeah. So really to teach and to educate employees, because this is definitely future productive. Yeah. And you can feel this immediately. So when employees are more efficient in their work and can automate their daily tasks. And so ultimately the most successful companies will be those who recognize that building effective AI is not a journey, but rather a destination.
And it's definitely a very important destination because and I love what you mentioned, especially the bridge between the journey and how we put together the education and the different parts of the ecosystem. So one of the things I love about your work and about your research is then the specific focus on the intersection of AI and human creativity. You mentioned that before, both in, and I love especially what you said, the quote of Andy Warhol. I think it's actually something that I heard it once, but I didn't thought about it as much as I should. And I think it's really important because I think we need to bring that special to Europe. I'm a very European personality. So how do you see AI transforming industries like art, education, and finance over the next decade? And especially, I would like for you to touch probably art and education, because I think one of the challenges right now with all these amazing AI tools, and I'm actually using them all. And for instance, you have as well the metaverse, the Web3. There's so much opportunities. And you mentioned, I love that in one of your answers, you touch a lot of the tools. And for instance, you mentioned Philippines, what they create actually massive new talent and new possibilities. But, and I want to be provocative in the question, but as well in the complementation is, and you touch, for instance, people are playing games. There's 3.5 billion people playing games every day. And the challenge,
about 4.5.
I think
no,
maybe
it's a
more.
Huge market. It's a huge
market.
Yeah.
Yes. But the challenge is that, okay, these people are playing, but they're not seeing this from a business perspective and from a creative perspective. That's the paradox. So they become like zombies in a lot of ways. So how can we, first of all, and I know that you are as well very focused on education, especially in art education, how can you combine this? Because at the end of the day, the art industry, with exceptions, is very fragile. And of course, when it comes to education, we touch a lot of different areas. And of course, finance is in another level. So I think it's this kind of intersection of AI and human creativity, but as well, how to transform these industries and empower the people.
Yeah. So, the common narrative around AI and creativity actually focus on whether machines will replace human artists or replace jobs. Yeah. And at the end, like if you look back, because history teaches all, to the industrialization, so people there already feared about their jobs, but at the end there were more jobs than before, and the same happens now with AI. So this said first. But what we're witnessing right now is not replacement, but augmentation and an expansion of what's possible when human intention and machine capabilities come together, work together. Yeah. And in art, AI is becoming a generative partner. Yeah. So this is how I saw artists work with AI. So artists like Refik Anadol, who is a very famous artist in AI, for example, don't use AI as efficiency or for efficiency. So he is collaborating with AI to generate really new ethics in art. Yeah, so ethics that could not have been imagined before AI. And what we are seeing now is entirely new visual languages in art. Yeah. So, and these represents really new from artistic frontiers. Yeah. And there are different ways to work with AI, but most of the artists collaborate with AI and need it. So they train it with their own works, for example, or they ask questions that in reality couldn't be answered, for example. And at the end, it's all about the prompt. Yeah. So if I would create an artwork, it would be not the same as like a real artist is formulating a prompt for his artwork or her artwork. So it's not different from what it's happening in real life. Yeah. So there is the idea, and the idea is the most important thing. And this idea must be brought into words. And the prompt is the most important thing in the AI art creation. Yeah. And this could be done only by genius artists. So this is my opinion. And in education, so AI rolls also far beyond personalization. Yeah, so it's about equity and access. So when AI can adapt to different learning content and styles and cultural contexts, so it has really the potential to reshape who gets to access and how. And also in finance. So it's not only just about automation, it's about innovation. Yeah. So, and AI allows more nuanced risk modeling, for example, more personalized financial products and access. It's also always about access to services for previously underserved communities. And so looking ahead, I would say the organizations that will thrive won't simply deploy AI to optimize. So they use it to reimagine their value to society. So I'm really convinced of that. So the real divide won't be between adapters or non-adapters. So it will be between those who use AI to reinforce old models and those who use it to create entirely new forms of value. And this is really possible with AI. So I guess the next decade will not be defined just by artificial intelligence itself, but by the quality of human imagination in applying these tools. And now we again come back to the human-centric approach in AI and in all these technologies. So humans will be more important in futures than technologies. I'm pretty convinced of that.
I love this, and this is key, and it brings me to my next question. That is, so through your work with organizations like XR, Explorer, School, and Academy for Disruptive Minds, you are helping reimagine education. So it's precisely what you just mentioned. So how important is this immersive side of technology and creativity in XR and blockchain education for the next generations?
Yeah. Do you have kids?
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is very personal for me.
Yeah, so I have a daughter. She's 20. She gets 20 now, and so what? I witnessed the school system in the last years, and as we already mentioned, so education is one of the few systems that hasn't fundamentally changed in centuries. Yeah, even as everything else has. So that mismatch in creating is creating really a growing disconnect between how students learn and how they will need to work in the future. Yeah, so we had this already. And so XR and blockchain aren't just new tools. So they are enablers of new educational paradigm. And I'm working in this field, so as an advisory board member for XR Explorer schools, for example. So we support schools who integrate XR technologies in the school system. So it's not easy for them, and mostly they do it in the free time and Friday afternoon, and it's all volunteer work mostly. But with XR, So learning becomes embodied. Yeah. So students are not learning about Rome with text. So they walk through the streets. Yeah. So this is a complete different learning. And they don't study moleculars. They manipulate it in 3D spaces. And this kind of experimental learning, spatial learning, creates deeper understanding. So there are really studies about it and retention. And it's at the end, it's different between knowledging something or between feeling it. Yeah. And this is a big chance for future education. And I think so. People who already tried out the Apple Vision Pro, for example, yeah, so that makes it that makes it more tangible. So maybe also the audience have to keep in mind that we have to try it out. Your hands-on experience is very important. And when we support schools, of course, we try it out. And yeah, so spatial computing, spatial learning, and maybe with better glasses or less heavy or more practical glasses will accelerate the mass adoption, hopefully. But blockchain addresses something different. Yeah, so blockchain addresses credibility and ownership of learning. And so when educational records are decentralized, as we already said, so if students can really own their achievements personally in their wallets, so this is a new possibility also in learning, and that opens up global, lifelong learning ecosystems, yeah, and where knowledge can be verified and shared and also monetized maybe in some way. And so the next generation, with all the problems we have right now, needs creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence as well. This is very important. And we're not just updating the classroom, we're building a living, adaptive global learning network, and where education becomes personal through AI, through blockchain, and through spatial learning, and participatory and persistent throughout life. Yeah.
This is the most important thing. And I believe that, for instance, recently, China is just obliged to have, for instance, AI education and digital education in all the schools, in all areas of education. And I think what it does right now is that we bring this to all the areas of life, because we need continuous reskilling. People like you and me are always learning. And I think, and I want to touch a bit just on this part, because we are I think we have one more question, but I want to subset here and be respectful of your time. So from your experience of dealing especially with the schools, with universities, and as well as a researcher, how can we, because I think we know the problem. I think the problem is, and I think you mentioned your daughter, I have my children as well. And one of the things I found out was, first, I was shocked that my son finished first the university in one top university, and talking one of the top universities in the world, and he had no education in AI, nothing in digital. And then I started doing research, and I was, oh my God, it's not just that one, it's a lot of universities. So, and I think that's the problem is, of course, how can we, and for instance, like you mentioned, people all spend like 5-10 hours in devices, but is mostly exclusively in like the games they like, or the YouTubes, or the Netflix, which are all multi-billion dollars, in some cases $1 trillion companies. But at the same time, we have a challenge. We can use these tools to empower our lives. And as well, this is creating a huge challenge in terms, for instance, there's a component of, for us, we have the most special XR experiences with, like you mentioned, VR, AR, and I think you've been talking and writing a lot about this, both in your book and the metaverse experience, which partly there was a hype around that, but it's super important in terms of putting it in the forefront, and Web3. So what I'd like to do, and this brings us to partly this question of, so what are the essential skills that we can actually bring to the business leaders to thrive in this world that is incredibly shaped by AI and Web3? And especially defining, I think one of the things we need to do is redefine the myths, because people have a myth. Okay, it's Web3, it's crypto, or it's AI, it's for geeks. But in the end of the day, it's much more. The skills are key. And like you mentioned, there's a lot of leaders are struggling to understand how to use this. For instance, you mentioned even in your framework, the question around the use of data. Most of people don't even understand how to use data properly, and they give away their data. And then, for instance, I'm sure you have this case as well, that you go to a big important meeting and you see someone using the password 1234 and things like that. So that is a lot of bringing a lot of risks right now, but as well a lot of opportunities. So I would like to see, as your role both as consultant, strategist, and educator and researcher, these are the most essential skills, but as well, how can you make it real? Because of course we've been talking, we need to act.
Oh, yes, we need to act. And I would say it's a leadership toolkit of the 20th century is no longer enough. Yeah. So AI and Web3 don't change processes. So they extend it, and they're reshaping entire value chains and ecosystems. Yeah. And so I would say the most essential skills are curiosity, openness, and lifelong learning. And so today we need to be fluent in system thinking. So leaderships should do as well. So the ability to see not just cause and effect, but networks and feedback loops and emergent patterns. So this is very important. And then leaderships also need technological discernment. So not just what a tool can do, but what it should do. Yeah. So that means having an ethical compass strong enough to guide innovation, and even when the path is uncertain. So it's easy to move fast, but harder to move wisely. So leaderships really must be wise in these days. And perhaps the most important is they must master adaptive collaboration. Yeah. So no single genius will solve the challenges ahead. So it will take diverse interdisciplinary teams and humans and machines across culture and sectors. And so leaders must become orchestrators, not commanders. Yeah, you know what I mean? So,
Not completely.
and so the greatest misconception is that technical knowledge alone will be sufficient. So I would say, yes, leaders need enough technical understanding to ask the right questions, but more fundamentally is they need wisdom about human needs, motivation, and values. And so technical literacy matters, yes, but the true essential skills for the futures are actually more human than technological.
Yeah, and this is the human-centric part mixed with the skills is the key element, and as well the most difficult one, because of course this implies. I think the biggest challenge is that if you see the last fourth industrial revolutions, is that they were very disruptive, but they still took 50 years, 20 years, even the internet took 20, 30 years, and now we're talking things that take months, years maximum. For instance, if you see everything happening with Web3, with blockchain, blockchain has been for the last 10 years, but it's been having a invisible disruption, but AI is much more disruptive. And this brings me to, of course, my last question, but I have another one. Mm-hmm. So looking at as a futurist as well, and someone that writes and thinks about these things. So the next 5-10 years, of course, there's multiple narratives. There's narratives, and you touched AGI partly in the beginning. There's people talking about the conversion between, of course, advanced augmented general intelligence, as well, of course, there's the convergence of AI, blockchain, and XR or Web3 technologies. How do you see this reshaping of society, especially probably in a more positive vision? Because, of course, at the moment we have the doom vision and the positive. And, of course, humanity always reinvents itself, even with all our challenges.
Yeah, so maybe imagine blockchain, AI, and the metaverse were like coffee, milk, and sugar. Yeah, so consumed individually, so they are interesting. But if you consume it together, so you create a new beverage that people are willing to spend a lot of money for it. And so the same premium logic works also with our technologies. So each of these technologies are revolutionary for its own, but together they are really transformative. So maybe this is the easiest way to explain, but we are moving towards what I call the programmable reality. And so a world where AI provides intelligence and blockchain ensures trust and also ownership, and XR and delivers immersive experience. Yeah. So this is the future for the next 5 to 10 years. Of course, so AI is already there. So it's easy to access and it's really relevant. Metaverse, it's not gone. So it's still there, especially in the industrial field, but also in education and so on. So there are amazing projects, and blockchain, it's an efficiency technology. It's a register technology, and it creates trust and credibility. And this is also ongoing. So there are many companies working with blockchain in the background, and this all comes in the next 5-10 years. So, and together they're creating really entirely new ways for humans to live, to work, and to relate. And in the realm of work, for example, so we will go far beyond Zoom. Yeah, so maybe next time we will meet in the metaverse, and where we can really collaborate together with teams. And this makes sense for large enterprises, global enterprises, because you can spontaneously chat, so you can work on whiteboards together, and you can guide it by the AI that not only translates just languages, but also cultural nuances. So, and contributions in work can be token rewarded. Yeah. So this combination together is really exciting. And economically, so we will see value creation in new business models. And what we see right now already is, for example, the digital twin production, not only for the industrial metaverse, but also for consumer industries, because the digital twins of any product, of any physical product, can be a monetizable extension of what you have in your company. And created through AI. It can be created through AI, and it can be secured through blockchain, and it can be monetized through blockchain. Yeah, as we have seen NFTs. But perhaps the most profound change will be to our knowledge system, because the information infrastructure we rely today is buckling under complexity, right? So, and these technologies together will enable a new kind of collective intelligence, spatial, immersive, interactive, verifiable, and dynamic. And what gives me hope is that more and more people across sectors, a generation, and geographies are recognizing this moment for what it is. Really, it's not just a technical challenge we have right now, but a civilization choice. Yeah, so we have it in the hand, and the future lies in our hands.
I think it's a great way you put it, and I love the metaphor, because I think we need to make it part of our daily lives, and it is part of our daily lives. But I think when you create utility out of it, we create so much new opportunities and new ways as well. So as one last part, and I know that you finished the question, so in terms of your experience, and I would like mostly from what you've been doing, so you did fantastic things, both in terms of events, projects, and as well a lot of innovative, creative projects like NFTs, metaverse, you mentioned immersive experiences and so forth. What are, I don't know if you want to just highlight one or two experiences from what create more passion and more engagement that you want to share with our audience. I think these stories are very important, because we learn through stories and we get into stories, and you're very good on the methodology, but as well you do amazing things on this level, which is not easy to put, like you mentioned, people from art with people from business, and as well create a business out of that, which is even more difficult. So I would like to, any kind of case studies you want to do, and probably wrap up it as well, some things that you still want to engage our audience with you.
Yeah, so the most important thing is really hands-on experience. So you cannot talk about NFTs without implementing a wallet or having a wallet. Yeah, so this is key. And you cannot talk about the metaverse if you have never been inside the metaverse, and same with AI. So you cannot talk about AI if you didn't use any tool. Yeah. So, but there are still people outside who are afraid of AI or never tried it out. Yeah. So, but once you tried it out, and once you have this hand-on experience, So your life is changing, yeah. And this is what we did with art exhibitions. So this was very easy because art can visualize all these topics, and so people were animated really to download a MetaMask wallet and to create token, or maybe to buy token, or to sell token. And we built enterprise metaverses for huge companies so that the employees really could feel how it is to work immersively. And at the end of the day, it's, so in comparison to the time we have right now, so we have this iPhone in the hand, we are looking at the iPhone the whole day. But spatial computing, so it's science fiction comes true. So we can walk around with designer glasses and through augmented reality. And this is what we also show when we are together with clients. So we give the glasses hands on so that they can try it out. And then, so we have the internet around us. We are in the internet, rather than just observing it. And with AI, it's the same. So first you show the tools and people are impressed because most of the people only know about ChatGPT. So, and you can hear it in the streets. So ChatGPT, but there's so many tools. So, and this excites me a lot really to work and to showcase these tools and then to see how people change. So the best compliment I ever got after a keynote was when a woman came to me and said, so I feel like a digital Neanderthaler. So I never heard about all these topics before. And this is my and yours, and also, so task for society to read, to educate and to show these tools so they can work with it and know about and realize the efficiency. So it all makes life easier, also more sustainable. So digital first, and then physical production. So this is the future, hopefully.
It's a wonderful way of synthesizing, and I think as well, I like to provoke people. I think so. For people listening to us, don't be a digital Neanderthal. I think we need always to get in the top of it. Of course, here we have some of the leading personalities like you, and I'm very grateful to have you here as well. From the way you processes a lot of information in very practical ways, and as well with a lot of layers that I think we all can learn with it. So, Dr. Annette, it's been an honor to have you here.